Good evening and welcome to another edition of the Red and Blue Review. Before we start, can we ask you to hit the like and subscribe button on YouTube? 87% of you watching won't be subscribers. You can also follow us on Instagram at red_and_blue_review, or follow us on Twitter at red_blue_review. Thank you. Now, on with the show.
It's showtime, so put your feet up for an hour and tune into the Red and Blue Review. Nick, Ian, Jill, and the crew are waiting to hear from you, so get those comments in.
Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Palace fans across the globe. Welcome to the Red and Blue Review on this a brand new football season. On the back of the ecstasy of winning at Wembley in the Community Shield and the agony of being demoted out of the Europa League into the Europa Conference League. Of course, we're going to be talking about both those things as CBC and Noble. And I'm joined this evening by a heavyweight panel. And here they come. Gel Holyoke, first and foremost. Good evening, Gel. How are you, my friend? Complete with headphones. Looks very splendid.
Evening, evening, mate. Evening, all. Welcome to a new season. Looking forward to this one.
Indeed. And Paul Gear with the FA Cup next to you. And the two shirts that we've released so far behind you, resplendent, of course, in your background. Fresh from your interview with BBC Radio London last night. How did that go, mate?
Yeah, no, I was back on there again yesterday. I was on obviously a few weeks ago, as we know, talking about the going to Kaz, and obviously yesterday talking about what happened at Kaz. So, yeah, obviously it was, it's always good to speak to lots of people and some DJs and see what they think about things. But yeah, it was an interesting chat.
Yeah, good. And finally, but by no means least, in Red and Blue, Ireland's finest, Fergus Tid. Good evening, Ferg. How are you, mate?
Evening, yeah, very well. Evening, everybody. Yeah, looking forward to tonight. Lots of interesting subjects to talk about.
Have you added to that background because it looks even more red and blue?
I've got my winner's scarf up there for the cup final.
It's pretty impressive, guys, isn't it? Don't you think? I've just got one thing up behind me that's Palace related, but that's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
if you're impressed by Fergus's background, tell us in the chat. Good evening, everyone joining us in the chat. It's good to see so many people, some regular names, some familiar names, and some new names.
Got a shirt in the freezer.
What's that?
Nothing. I said I had a shirt in the freezer.
He had a shirt in the freezer. I've got no words for that. A shirt in the freezer. How do we respond to that, everybody? Does anyone in the chat put their shirts in the freezer during this hot weather? That's what we want to know.
Joking.
That's the really important issue we're going to be talking about tonight on the Red and Blue Review. Guys, where do we start? Let's start with the Europa decision. Fresh on the back of the Community Shield win, we were anticipating the decision on Monday yesterday from a CAS decision, and we got that decision. And the decision was to demote us or relegate us into the Conference League. How do we feel about that? I think we all feel pretty pissed off, but let's come to you first, Ferg. What was your expectation, first of all, and how are you feeling about things today?
Expectation. I was always on the positive side. I couldn't see how they could prove that he had decisive influence because he didn't, because of the 25% voting share. But they seem to keep harping back onto the 43%, and his majority share in Lyon, and that's where we fell foul. But I was hoping that, I know the strict rules, and we've probably broken them. But, a little bit of common sense, I think, on this occasion, especially with the change of dates, I think would have been, it would have been a fairer result if they'd said, okay, look, slap across the wrist, here's a fine, you're back in Europa. But unfortunately, it wasn't to be. So a little bit peed off about it, but I'm confident we can win it. So, you know.
Yeah, I mean, certainly all the commentators, one of the things they say, don't they, is that the Conference League is an easier competition to win. And that's probably true, given that the standard of opposition won't be as high as the Europa League. So that may be a silver lining. But obviously, we've got to play all those games first and win the thing. Paul, let me come to you. Same question to you, really. What was your expectation and how are you feeling about things this morning or this afternoon? Or this evening, even.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting us to win. I thought that we couldn't prove to the first body that he didn't have any influence, and so I didn't think we'd be able to prove it to these guys either. There's ultimately the rules are pathetic. They're stupid. We know that the deadline is ridiculous. The logic of a club being in an MCO percentages and all this sort of stuff, it's all complete rubbish. But they are the rules, and there is a deadline. And we didn't abide by it, and we didn't even try and seek to do anything about that. And if, as I said, if we'd have spoken to them at the time and we probably would have got extensions. We'd have got people working with us to sort it out. But stupid rules. I mean, you score a goal and you take your shirt off, you get booked. It's a stupid rule, but you do it, you get booked. And as we said earlier, morally, no one had a leg to stand on. We should be in the Europa League morally and on the pitch, but it's not just about that. As I say, you can be speeding down the M25 to get home to your sick family, but morally, no one would have a problem with that. But legally, you can't do it. And this is our big problem. We've fallen foul of a rule that's pathetic, stupid, is not fit for purpose. I said this on the radio last night. It's so out of touch. I mean, the deadline is ludicrous, as we've said before, because you should only have to resolve something once you know you've got something to resolve. And you look at this percentage thing. This has been annoying me more than anything. I see Tony Bloom has just bought 29% in Hearts. Now, these investors are buying 29% for a reason. It's because 30 is the limit. Now, all week you've heard him say about, I'm going to be up there, I'm going to be busting the Rangers Celtic dominance. I mean, that doesn't sound like someone to me who's got no influence at a football club. But according to UEFA, he wouldn't have, and he'd be fine to play them in the cup. So the rules are stupid. Like I say, we've now got Forest and Lyon in the Europa League who are, they'll probably end up playing each other because they do more into business than anyone in them. So anyway, so yeah, I didn't expect, as I say, we couldn't. It was for us to prove we should have as a big multi-million-dollar pound company football. We should have documents in place, proof in place to prove to anyone for any reason, whatever asked, who does what and who has what share. And unfortunately, we couldn't prove to two different bodies that John Textor was a non-entity at our club, and that means we fall foul of the rule.
Yeah. Okay, Paul. Thank you. I'm sure there are people in the chat would agree with you. Some may disagree, but Jen, I don't think you disagree because you went large on social media today and got a bit of a reaction, didn't you, mate?
Yeah, I was up. As I said earlier, I was up at the hospital bored, and I hadn't seen a lot on the. We use a Facebook page, Red and Blue News, and for a lot of the stuff, and there was not a lot on there. So I just thought I'd go in there and do a bit of fishing, but the post that I put on there created a bit of traffic. Got a lot of bites. Oh, it's amazing. I've been blocked by a few people. Oh, my heart. But it's some of the stuff that I did right. I mean it. I think it sits fairly and squarely at the feet of Steve Parish. Steve Parish has said to us forever that he, when he bought the club with four of them, that he ran it. The other three were just his pals and didn't really want the responsibility. So he's run it. As people have come in, they've said, carry on running it. He runs it. He doesn't, he doesn't shirk from saying to all and sundry that the club, he basically runs the club from top to bottom. When someone gets kicked out, he does the kicking out. When someone gets bought in, he brings the big win. So, this, no matter what, how big, how small, how pathetic, or how morally, the thing about morals, as Paul was saying, football has no morals. If football had morals, we would have been in the European Cup in 1991. So, but it is. That's the truth. So there's nothing to hide. We took six barristers over there, or six, a legal team of six people. It's cost a fortune, probably in the hundreds of thousands. And it's not backfired on us, but we knew it would do anyway. Palace, and it's the Palace way. We never win anything the easy way. We've always got to beat the best and scrap with everyone else, Ferg.
The club have obviously released a statement today. I'm not going to read it out in full because I'm sure everyone watching this show has already read it. But I was quite surprised with the fact it was so hard hitting, this statement. And it really, it didn't say, "Oh, we accept it." It basically it sort of bit back and said it appears that certain clubs, organisations, and individuals have a unique privilege and power. What do you think about that statement, guys? Is that a surprise that the Palace have come out and said something so controversial as that?
I think it's true, isn't it? There's lots of clubs out there: Chelsea, Strasbourg, Man City, is it Girona, the two RB Leipzig and Salzburg.
Yeah.
All this hiding behind buying shares and stuff like that and saying we've got nothing to do with each other. Even Marinakis, when he had his blind shares. When they drew with Leicester last game of the season and didn't qualify, he was out on the pitch having a go at the manager. But apparently he had no influence in the club at the time. There's a real irony in here that Forest have taken our place in this, and I'm sure they're complicit in us being, getting knocked out of the Europa League because they are a multi-club ownership club, aren't they? They are, exactly.
And we're not, which is ironic, isn't it? It's crazy, isn't it? It's just stupid. I don't know.
The other thing I just wanted to raise, Ian, on there it says, and I know Kaz had brought out, and I haven't read it. I know Paul mentioned it earlier, but the fact that they're saying there was a denial of disclosure request to obtain correspondence between all the various clubs. Okay, why can't they share that information? If they've got nothing to hide, then just
it's a grassy charter. That's why.
Hang on, one at a time. Gel, what do you think the answer to that question is? Then I'll bring Paul in.
Well, it's a grass's charter. Snitches get stitches. I mean, look at people. Some of the Palace fans have gone on and said, "Oh, well, you wait until the Forest fans come down here." Never do it. The Forest fans.
No,
it's do with their owner. We want to have a go. Have a go at their owner.
Yeah.
I'm hoping we're going to have some kind of great big. Okay. Fat fella, from the top of the stand.
He'll probably love that if we did that. I personally would ban him from Sellers Park. I don't know whether to do that. I think there is some precedent there. I think it's happened in the past. I think for his own safety, he shouldn't come anywhere near Sellers Park on the 24th of August myself. But that's another story. Paul, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of Kaz, it wasn't a retrial, so. All this, if we had evidence, or there was supposed to be evidence of bad contacts and stuff, we all know Forest and the owner know people at UEFA. And Palace really should come out and just say there's no point being cryptic at this point. Come out and say what you mean. That's fine. But it wasn't a retrial. But they were there just to go over and see that the first trial was correct. Now, stuff that didn't come out of the first trial, then it should not really coming out now. Now, Palace calls themselves a bit of a problem by. The way they worded their case to go to Kaz, they named Forest and Leon. Now, but the minute they did that, they allowed Forest and Leon in the room. They allowed them to put their own lawyers to defend that case. Really, Palace should have just said, we're going to Kaz, we want to try and get back in the tournament at someone's expense. But we didn't. So the minute you said that we're going to kick Forest out, they were allowed to defend it. So that there was always going to be someone in there trying to back them up. So it was, as I say, looking at the statement, they're spot on about the charade about the blind trust. It's ridiculous. Everyone knows it's painful. But really, I'm not sure going out all guns blazing is going to help anyone at this point. I'm not sure who we can sue or what we can sue them for. I think it would be nice in some way, as I think Charles mentioned, somewhere in that statement to say, look, there's been a mess up on a number of sides here, but we don't seem to be taking any responsibility, which helps us. I mean, as I say, maybe if we'd shown a bit of contrition, we might have had some help. But it's it's a strong statement. But I think personally it's time now to just put it to bed and get on with it.
Yeah, hard hitting. Multi-club structures hide behind the charade of a blind trust, while clubs such as ours, who have no connection to another club whatsoever, are prevented from playing in the same competition, it says in the statement. Okay. Of course, one of the things also that sucks a bit about this is that we qualified for the Europa League straight into the competition. End of October, whenever the first game is, straight into the group stages. In the Conference League, we've now got to play a playoff. of course, Forest would have had to play this playoff if the roles were reversed. But we play the losers, I understand. Is that right? Of Fredrikstad and Midtjylland.
Yeah.
Fredrikstad are Norwegian. Midtjylland, a Danish side. It's where Alexander Sorloth once played his football, apparently. And Midtjylland are 3-1 up after the first leg, and the second leg is on Thursday. And it is the losers we play, isn't it? Because the winners, I think, go into the Europa League and the losers go into the conference. The home leg of that tie is the 21st of August. Kick-off time to be determined, but it could be as early as 5 p.m. Then the away leg is the 28th of August. I know one, Aaron Azza, has booked his hotel already. Gel, are you going to the away leg?
Do you know what? Funny enough, I mean, we won't get a ticket anyway. Those grounds only hold about 350. Don't know, most of their grounds up there. There's not that many people.
Won't be many.
I just need to very quickly go into the chat. I know it's not a lot.
Yeah.
It's Brentford-esque or whatever. But Paul Bristow and Paul over the years has loved to pull me up on some stuff. So I'm actually quite chuffed. First showing for a new season, and he's turned around and said Gel Holyoke, which is always nice. He's not
your name right. That's good.
Yeah, Steve Parish has always told us that he didn't believe that our model broke UEFA rules, but he was wrong. He made an assumption that was wrong. And as I've said to you before this, before we broke up for our break and everything, it falls squarely at his feet, and I'm not having it any other way. And like I said on Facebook, just for a laugh, by the way, don't come at me. Don't bother coming at me because I know I'm right. Because he says it's his club. It's his club in all but actual ownership. So
yeah, sure.
I'd love to have him on, and I don't want to listen to what I just want him to say. Yeah, look, I messed up.
Yeah, so, I think that many people are coming round to that view now. But I'm still not having people bash Parish because he has been brilliant for this.
No, you can't say that. It's like setting up a company with your best mate, and he speaks to your wife, and you go, "Oh, don't worry about it, mate, because we've had such a successful company. Let's carry on."
Paul.
Yeah, I mean, just going about Paul said, I don't think many people in football think we have broken the MCO rules. The problem is we can't prove that we haven't, and that's where it's gone wrong. We haven't got an MCO, and we're not in any way related to any of them. But if you can't prove that, then it means nothing.
Yeah.
But part of the problem is we weren't allowed to. We couldn't evidence it because they wouldn't share the correspondence. They wouldn't allow us witness testimony. It was almost like we were fighting a case with both our hands tied behind our backs. So you wonder what would have happened if that information had been available. Witnesses would have been able to testify. I don't disagree with the fact that Parish probably should have been a little bit more cute earlier on when Texter came in and he thought, right, let's just make sure all the legalities are signed. Exactly. We're not breaking any rules because that rule's been around for a long time. I think the only difference is the date got changed. It was always June, then it got moved to March. We were in the FA Cup then.
Yeah.
It would have been a bit presumptuous of us to say we were going to finish in Europe.
Yeah, Fergus, I think the key thing here is that we didn't ask for an extension. We just let the deadline come and go, and then assumed incorrectly that we could talk our way out of the fact we weren't a multi-club ownership club. That clearly hasn't happened. But as Paul has said earlier, I don't know whether you said this in the pre-show chat or during the show now, Paul, but if we had gone to UEFA on the 28th of February and said, look, we will sort this out. Can you give us a little bit more time here? We're going to arrange for John Texas shares to be put in a blind trust and fulfill your requirements, then they probably would be a bit more amenable towards us. But they don't like people calling the tune and saying, well, we're not a multi-club ownership. Well, they think we are, but we're not. It's obvious.
Would Texter have done that, Ian? Would Texter have done that, Ian? Now you see what's going on in the background between him and Mal Nackers. I don't think he ever would have. So we'd have been screwed anyway. So, this is the problem, isn't it?
We would never know.
There's dark arts going on.
Yeah, we won't.
We just don't know. So
we won't know. Let's come back to you.
Sorry,
Paul.
Joe. Go on.
Sorry. I mean, you're right, Fergie. That we should have been able to see other correspondence, but ultimately, all that would have proved was that Forest and UEFA had a different set of rules. Now that really wouldn't have flown, unfortunately, because the rule is we should have been able to prove what we could prove. Now you can the proof of the pudding is I read an interesting conspiracy theory today. I've had a few actually, but apparently Chelsea and Strasbourg are in the same MCO as well. And if Strasbourg had won or got certain 3 or 4 points in their last 2 games, they would have been in the Champions League, and Chelsea would have been kicked out. Now, ironically, Chelsea had been talking to UEFA since March, so they were sort of covering this base anyway. But it was quite ironic because Strasbourg suddenly managed to lose 2 games to the 15th and 16th place clubs. And which didn't help us in our quest anyway, because one of those games affected our outcome, and Chelsea suddenly are all fine. So, but because Chelsea has said because they started talking, then they were sort of, it wouldn't have mattered if the deadline was late because they were in the cahoots. But yeah, it's as I say that there's all sorts of ifs, whats, and whatever. As I say, ultimately we should have been able to prove that John Textor didn't run anything. If we could, we'd be fine.
Okay. Before I come to you, Gel, Tony Quinn has asked a question in the chat. He said, what's the deal with Blitzer's shares in Brøndby? How is that not an issue? My understanding of that is that his shareholding in Brøndby is less than 29%. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's why, Tony. That's the reason that's not an issue. Gel.
So, I mean, Mark Drew turned around and said, one of my points has been all along, basically, Palace never thought that they would win the FA Cup. Now, this is the thing. When we enter this competition, we have always got a chance. We've got, I'd say, a 1 in 15. Any of the 15 clubs in the Premier, maybe any club in the Premier League could probably win the FA Cup, but mainly in the top 15, I would say. So, I mean, had he listened, I said, it was only 3 of us, me, Rob Cranfield, and as we said earlier, Mark Bright. I'd said we'd win the FA Cup this year. If he only had listened, I mean, Bright is his right-hand man. Him and Adam Walton had an interview that's on. You can watch it on YouTube, and he said, "I think we'll win the FA Cup this year." So he don't even listen to his best pal and he's confident and everything.
Listen, if he's not going to listen to Bright, he ain't going to listen to you, is he? It's as simple as that.
Well, he should do, shouldn't he? Me and Rob, anyway.
There we go. Mr. Gear.
Forest was still in the cup on the 1st of March. They didn't think they were going to win it because they didn't do anything then either. I don't think you can assume you're going to win the FA Cup. I mean, all this does is highlight the ridiculousness of the rule.
The whole thing about this is, if we'd have done something in March, the only way we would have avoided this was Textor agreeing to put his shares in the blind trust. Now, he could have turned around in March and said, I'm trying to sell the club. Why would I do that? I don't need to do that. I'm trying to sell the club. I'm not putting them in the blind trust. And we would have been in exactly the same position the day we won the FA Cup, because we would have been a multi-club ownership, according to UEFA. He still had his 43% shares. So it's just, we just fell foul of lots and lots of different spinning plates, and they've all dropped for us with just every opportunity. We've just fell foul of it. That whole UEFA system, I just think it's not legitimate. It's not fair. It's not effective. We get unjust outcomes for other teams that manage to stay in the cup, and we don't.
That's right. I mean, we've said that before, and there's no one's disputing that. One thing that not many people have spoken about in this situation is, why is it about Textor's shares in Crystal Palace that could have been put into a blind trust? Why couldn't it have been his Lyon shares put into a blind trust? Nobody's spoken about that at all.
It's a point.
That shut you all up, isn't it?
Ultimately, if he's a silent partner in a club, it's easier to put your part. If he's actually actively running Lyon, which he is, he can't put them in a blind trust because he can't do anything with the club. So we were the logical people to put in there.
Maybe.
The other thing, Ian, is like we were 12th in the league. Lyon were 6th or 5th or 7th, wherever they were. So chances are they were going to finish in Europe, and we weren't, because
And here's the other thing. 6th place in the French league trumps winning the FA Cup, because we only finished 12th in our division.
And the irony is, this league, this Europa League,
it's a Cup Winners' Cup.
Called the Cup Winners' Cup.
Yeah.
It's stupid. It's stupid, really.
Anyway, guys, it is what it is. We are playing in the Europa Conference League this season. And the other thing that people have talked about before is, if someone has said to you, Fergus Tidd, Paul Gear, Gel Holyoke, at the beginning of last season, I'll tell you what I'm going to offer you. I'm going to offer you Crystal Palace to win the FA Cup, and you'll be in the Conference League the season after. You would have bitten their hand off. You would have absolutely
and
bitten their hand off.
I've said that at the end of last season, I think. Yeah, 100%.
But
100%.
it wasn't the case. We won the Europa League, but we've just got to settle for second best or third best, whatever it is, and get on with it. So I think we need to get on with the show. If we've missed any of your comments about this and you want us to respond, then put it on again and we'll watch the numbers come past or the letters come past. They come past pretty quickly for us on the show as we're watching live. Latest score, Bromley 0, Ipswich Town 0 in the Carabao Cup first round. Just to prove this is a live show, it's 25 minutes past 8 o'clock on the 12th of August. So one small thing that we need to talk about tonight, in addition to the Europa League thing, is that on Sunday, of course, we were at Wembley, and it was the second time in 3 months, and it was great to revisit the old stadium. Oliver Glasner joked that we should be playing our home games at Wembley because we always win there. And what a great day out it was. It was superb. We bathed in the sunshine, our side of the pitch, Paul, didn't we, at the beginning of the game? When the game kicked off, we were in shade. It was wonderful. Paul's going to lead us through the game. Let's have the lineup, first of all, Nige, if we can. And this was the same lineup that started the cup final. Henderson in goal, Munoz and Mitchell at wing-backs. Three across the back, Richards, Lacroix and Gahey captain for the last time, maybe. Wharton and Kamada in the middle of the park. Eze, Sarr and Mateta leading the line up top. And we had a lad on the bench that I hadn't heard of before, Rio Cardines, number 59. Apparently, I'd learnt this tonight for the first time. We got him from Stevenage, and he is a Trinidad and Tobago international. And he was on our bench on Sunday. Paul, talk us through the game and the wonderful start we had at Wembley.
Yeah, so as you say, it was a great start. We won't go into what happened before the game in terms of national anthems and tributes. That was
well, actually, I think we should. Okay, so
okay.
I think you reminded me there. I think we should. Before a ball was kicked, of course, Liverpool fans booed the national anthem, which I think is the disgusting thing to do. I do not understand why any set of football fans would want to do that. And I know they've got their reasons, but I was just appalled by that. But then we had a minute's silence for Diogo Jota. Now, we're all saddened that Diogo Jota died with his brother in a tragic accident in the close season. And anyone that loves football would observe a minute's silence. The problem was that people were getting into the ground late. They were arriving on the concourses. They didn't know what was going on. And therefore, they made a noise, which Liverpool fans are accusing us of disrupting the minute's silence. But that wasn't the case, was it, Ferg? Do you hold with what I'm saying, or do you think they deliberately tried to do it?
No, 100%. I think it was just one individual and his voice was carrying. And in the end, I think the booing, were the Palace fans booing that individual, it wasn't anything to do with a minute's silence. It was almost like, be quiet. And then the ref obviously blew the whistle very quickly. It wasn't a minute.
Yeah. And the other thing that go on.
No, I was just going to say, I felt really bad about that, but I don't, Palace fans wouldn't do that. We would 100% respect.
No. The other thing was that we didn't hear the referee's whistle to start the silence. It wasn't amplified. So that was a challenge as well. Joe, you were watching this. What was your reaction?
Well, yeah, I'll tell you a story in a minute about what happened at the beginning for me. But anyway, I had a friend of mine, and some of you guys will have heard me mention, he's Alex, who worked for Liverpool for 35 years. He's a really good lad. And I spoke to him after, and he didn't say anything. He didn't say anything about the Palace fans. He said, he said again, he thought that the rapport between the fans, there's never any obscene chanting, and it's always been a decent rapport. I mean, we always go up there and we on their parade, don't we? We did last year, we did it before, but we generally have a decent rapport with Liverpool Football Club, so I don't think so. I'll tell you about in a minute, right?
We'll come to that in a minute. And Mark Callaghan says, I was still trying to get to my seat as the minute silence started. So there were people trying to get to their seats, and you can't necessarily do that in complete silence. Someone else has said there was some booing. But like you, Ferg, I don't think any decent Palace fan would deliberately boo a minute's silence. I just question the wisdom of a minute's silence at a stadium like Wembley on a day like that. A minute's applause would have been far more appropriate.
100%.
We could have all joined in and shown our respects for for Diego Jota. So that all happened before the game started. So I'm going to come back to you, Paul. Rewind. Let's talk about the game.
Right, okay, so yeah, after all that, the game has started, yeah, and as you said, it was the worst possible start. So in the 4th minute, we go 1 down. So Liverpool played the ball quite well down the left-hand side, managed to get it to Ekitike, their new signing, who drove towards the middle of the pitch, and he hit a very nice shot, to be honest. He didn't thrash at it, he was calm, and he went through Kamada's legs, which I don't think helped Dean Henderson. They was right in the bottom corner. I don't think he had a chance with that. And yeah, it was just obviously not a great start at all, to be honest. But it didn't hit us too much. We got back into the game.
Offside about it. We thought in the ground at the time it could have been off, but it wasn't, was it?
No, it wasn't offside. And again, it's the kind of thing VAR. Well, we'll come back to VAR. VAR should have ruled it out if it was. So the fact that they let it stand, you'd like to think it's the right decision, but we'll come back to whether VAR makes the right decisions.
Yeah, because there was a really interesting talking point towards the end of the game that, as you said, we'll come to. Mark Gahey, I think, was the player playing him on. How ironic, you know. So
no, as I say, he played him through, and they played it back, and it was obviously a different phase. But yeah, it was a good goal. But yeah, we didn't sulk. We got back in it, and we were getting corners and free kicks and keeping the ball in the Liverpool area. So doing well. And in the 17th minute, we played the ball through to Mateta, who goes clean through. I think he made a bit of a foul up of it, to be honest. He didn't really know what to do, and I think Allison came out, got it off him, and we thought the chance had gone. But we managed to get the ball back into the box, and Sarr tried to dribble his way through, and Van Dijk very kindly tripped him up for us. So yeah, the referee pointed to the spot, and VAR confirmed a penalty, which was great.
Indeed. So let's just come back to the Mateta incident first before we talk about the penalty. It was a really good move, actually. It was one of these Palace moves where there's a lot of passing in the middle of the park, backwards and forwards, and a through ball to Mateta, a brilliant ball through. I can't remember who played it. Was it Wharton, Kamada? I'm not sure who played the ball through for the pretend. Who was it?
Kamada, I think.
Kamada. Yeah. And I thought Mateta should have done better. But would you say it was a bad miss, or would you say it was a very good save from Allison?
You want your striker to do better there.
Yeah, I think so. But literally in the next phase of play, literally straight away, Sarr picks the ball up, dribbles across the box, and draws the challenge. And Van Dijk is going no straight away. I mean, he knew he'd caught him.
It always does that. You know?
Definite penalty gel for you.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I wasn't in the room to see it, but I saw it after. I saw it at half time. So,
yeah. And in the ground, Ferg, you think it was a stone wall for you from the other end?
Yeah, he never got the ball. He took the player. So, but I know we're talking about VAR until it was actually given. I was expecting them to take play all the way back to Henderson taking the goal kick or something, trying to find something that somewhere where we committed a foul, but it wasn't given, and they could pull it back. It's like one of those
to be fair, they got to it quite quickly. The VAR decision, they got to it quite quickly. They did. And he stuck it away nicely, Paul, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I have a bit of an issue when Palace get a penalty these days, so I'm not convinced with any of our penalty takers, to be honest. But again, we'll come back to that later as well. But obviously, the last time he took a penalty at Wembley, we all know in the semi-final he missed it, so he was probably a bit nervous as well. But no, he took it nice and calmly, and 1-1. That was great. So we're back on track, and hopefully going to start getting back into the game. Again, we did. We went forward. Munoz got down the right-hand side, had a cross to the far post, which Mitchell pulled back. I think he was just pulling it back. Maybe he could have shot, maybe not. But it just showed we were attacking them and we were causing them problems, which is always great. But then, unfortunately, a couple of minutes after that, down the right-hand side, Frimpong, their new right back, he decides to cross the ball into the box. And we were we could see it. We were right in line with a lot of this sort of stuff. Sam took the most bizarre spin and curl over Henderson and back into the far post corner. I mean, I was convinced it was deflected off Mitchell's foot or something, because there was no way the ball could do that. But when you saw it back, it didn't touch anyone. So I don't know how he managed to do that. But the spin and curve on it, I mean, it was a pure fluke. It was never intentional. To suddenly go 2-1 down straight after getting back into the game was unfortunate, to say the least. But so they're 2-1 back up. But again, we kept going, which was great. Nothing seems to phase us, which is the nice part at the moment. Then a few minutes later, 27th minute, Kamada got injured, so he went down, had to come off, and obviously we got a couple of midfielders on the bench. So Will Hughes was the man to come on, and I think, as I say, Hughes had a great game. He was all over the place and doing everything. So it might have been a blessing in disguise, that substitution, to be honest. But yeah, the rest of the half was good approach play really from both teams, neat and tidy. but there was no real final ball, and neither keeper was really troubled. Hughes had a shot over from about 15 yards, and Wirtz had similar at our end. So the half sort of just faded away off into that. So 2-1 down at half time, playing fairly well. There was nothing too dramatic or to be worried about. Come out for the second half, and Liverpool start quite fast. Do you want to talk to them first?
I just want to come and say we're quite pleased to get to half time at 2-1. I think both teams were probably quite pleased to get to half time at 2-1, weren't they? Liverpool, in as much as they're still in front. The key thing was we didn't go further behind at that stage of the game. We must have been pleased to get to. I personally in the ground, I'm thinking just get to half time now. I don't really care what happens the rest of this half, because it was played out as almost like a stalemate. The sort of last 10-15 minutes of that first half. Joe.
Yeah, I was pleased. It got to half time. I think I was started watching in the 37th minute because I had my idiot. I always have one stupid idiot event during the day, and I looked at about 11 o'clock on my phone on Google about the kickoff time at Wembley, and it said 4 o'clock, and so I sat there. And my wife came downstairs about 3:30, and she said, "Are you not watching football?" I went, "No, it don't start till 4 o'clock." And I was like, "No, I Googled it earlier." She went, "No, and you're losing 2-1," and just walked through into the kitchen. And I was like, "What?" And I turned the telly on, and then I realised I've got a VPN on my phone, and I had it switched to it was attached to Belgium, and they're our forward, aren't they? So it's kick off at 4 o'clock in Belgium.
Cutting edge from Joe Holyoke. Cutting edge stuff.
Such an idiot. It's always
we're all crabbing ourselves in the ground, and you're sitting there on your sofa reading a book. I mean, my life.
I was sitting and stroking a cat, like a Bond villain.
But I just point I wanted to make very quickly, and not very well, was that we were just happy to get to half time. I think.
Yeah.
I actually think the game changed when Hughes come on. I think that last 10 minutes it might have been a little bit dire, but I think Hughes' presence there, I think he started to break it all up. Liverpool started to get a bit frustrated, and they weren't as fluent as they were the first 20 minutes. So I honestly think Hughes had a massive impact. It's a shame to see Kamada go off injured, but I do think Hughes made a difference.
Okay, Fergus Tidd, leader of the Will Hughes fan club. Second half, we came out and we looked like a different team a little bit, didn't we, Paul? In the second half.
Well, eventually, yeah. I mean, the first 5-10 minutes of the second half, Liverpool came out pretty strong. I mean, Ekitike again had a header, which I think was probably should have scored, but
he was offside.
I think he would have been offside. Yeah, his foot was offside, and then he had another shot, which was there. So they had a bit of a come at us at the start, but we soon sort of weathered that, and we started playing through the middle, and Sarr got the ball, and he played Eze through, who went into the box, went down in a bit of a heap. It didn't really look like a penalty to me, and I don't think we really appealed for it. But it was good to show Liverpool we were still on the attack, and that we were still a problem to them. Slowly, we were getting on top. Then Sarr nearly scored again. He was offside, but a good cross into the box. Mateta flicked it on, and Sarr tried to get onto the flick on, but he was just offside. But yeah, Liverpool knew they were in a game, which was great. We then got a couple of corners. Eze's ball came out. Eze had a shot, was deflected out. Had the second corner, went to Richards, who headed straight at Alisson. So it was a goal. A goal was coming. Hopefully, we were thinking, and sure enough, again another Walton won the ball back in the middle of the pitch. He fed Eze, another good save, and then again Hughes, as we can see now here, Hughes and Richards won the ball, got it to Walton. Walton head up, lovely little through ball. I mean, it's the assist is probably it makes the goal, and it shows what Adam Walton's all about. Really lovely ball through to Sarr, who takes it on. He was played onside, luckily, and he calmly came out as Alisson came out. He managed to get it past him in off the post. So 2-2, the whole place went mad, and it was a great moment again to get back level in the game. It was a lovely goal, and no more than we deserved, really, which was great. But we didn't stop. We didn't stop there, and that was even better. So the next Eze gets the ball on the left-hand side, swings it in towards Sarr, and he manages to chest it down, has a shot, and it's blocked over, and everyone suddenly is appealing for a handball. And I just assumed that it was the shot was blocked by a hand going into the goal. But when you watch it back after the game, it's floated over McAllister's head. He's lost track of it, and it's hit his hand before it hits Sarr. So it's stopping Sarr controlling the ball properly. Now, we all know the rules. Any day of the week, that's a clear penalty. But if you have a Liverpool on your badge, it's clearly not. So they took it to VAR. and they waved play on. I've not heard the reasons for it, but yeah, it was a stonewall penalty. I mean, some people will say it's VAR karma after we got a good decision in the cup final, but that's gone in history on the day. That was the most blatant penalty you'll ever see. I mean, I've been interested to see. I'm pretty sure we're all on the same page on that one.
Yeah, Paul Tierney was the VAR official. He needs to say to Chris Kavanagh, "You've missed it there, mate. You've missed a handball, okay, in the penalty area. Go and have a look at the monitor and let the referee make a decision and look at it again, because he's clearly missed it." He didn't even have his hand down by his side. He had his hand up here in the air. I saw it straight away. We were sort of level with it in the ground. And I'm doing this, same as Glasner, actually, on the touchline. You know, it was handball. Gel, let's assume you haven't fallen asleep on your sofa in the second half. What did they say? What did they say about it on the TV?
To be honest with you, not a lot. And what they didn't do, which I was fuming about, was show a single replay of that. It didn't. TNT did not show a replay of that. And I thought, wasn't this competition? Was it this competition, or was it the FA Cup where the referees were wired up to comms?
Yeah.
And
They're supposed to announce it. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, we weren't. I wasn't surprised, and like you said, and it isn't sour grapes or anything by saying, had that been at the other end, it would have been given. It just would have been given. There's no doubt about it. And if anyone says anything otherwise, then they're lying. And I just think it's tantamount to cheating. It's so obvious. I mean, how can that not be? His arm is in the air. The only reason I think that he could have given it, and I think it would have caused ag. He would have got slaughtered for it had he done it over the comms like he should have. Was he wasn't looking at the ball. He was looking at the ball, but the trajectory. So as it came over his head, he wasn't looking like that. He wasn't. You know. It just. But I mean, you can see his face. McAllister's face was absolutely. Oh no.
Yeah, I know. You could tell.
You
could tell by the players' reactions. The players' reactions. Yeah. Liverpool. They were just waiting, thinking it's going to be given. Palace players were surrounding the referee. You just have to watch the players' reactions. They knew. They all knew that it was an out penalty. And for the life of me, I don't understand how it's not given. I really do not understand how that is.
It's denying a goal scoring opportunity, isn't it? It's denying a goal scoring opportunity.
I mean, well, it's not as if it was handball and he's not going to score from it. It was handball when he stopped Sarr from scoring a goal. Because if he doesn't do that, Sarr gets control of the ball and he gets his shot away quicker.
Exactly. But they just completely swerved it. I'll tell you what was really good. Finish off, Paul, and then I'll make this point because it becomes valid at the end of the point. Because you guys wouldn't have heard it. I'll watch it on TV and I'll tell you about it after you've.
Okay, we'll come back to you, Gel. Let's finish this with you, Paul. Last few minutes of the game, we'll get to the penalties and all that in a minute.
So yeah, game sort of plays out at that point. Salah's had a shot which straight down Dean's throat, which he saved well. Mateta's had a shot he skied, put in the top tier, which was a bit unfortunate. Good work. And then the interesting thing, we got some subs. So Walton had signalled to the bench he had a problem, but when I think Glasner then pressed him, say, "Are you all right?" He put his thumb up, but he wasn't going to take any risks. So Lerma came on for him. And then an interesting one, Mark Gay was going down with cramp a couple of times, and so he brought on Devaney. Now, ordinarily that's a straightforward decision because Lerma's just going to slot back into the middle. It would be interesting to know, obviously, because we know what happened to Devaney at the end of the game. Be interesting to know if Gay hadn't gone down, whether we'd have brought him on or not. So whether that was a nice bit of karma, who knows? It was because it was an interesting decision, that one. But yeah, so the match was fizzled out, and then with the last attack in the last minute, Devaney he gets a shot on the edge of the box narrowly wide. Could have saved us the stress of a penalty shootout there, unfortunately, but it didn't happen. But yeah, luckily it's a pre-season friendly, so there's no extra time, so we're going straight to penalties. So. Yeah, we're all stood there waiting for the toss of the coins. Now, there's always some interesting debates about how this works. Now, it's you get two coin tosses. Now, everyone in the ground was sensibly saying, "Well, let's have the penalties at our end, not because we wanted it at our end, because it's in the shade." Obviously, if you have the other end, the goalie's got the sun in their eyes, and it just might be, but it doesn't work like that. Obviously, that's not a fair way to do it. So, how they do this is they spin the coin. Now, no one gets to choose at this point. You have heads one end, tails another end, and there's no interaction. So. He tossed the coin. Obviously, it was the Liverpool end, so it goes up there. Second time cost is for who goes first, and this is a choice. So whoever wins that coin toss, then decided to go first, second. So Liverpool obviously won that as well and went first. So yeah, it's we don't have many penalty shootouts, and obviously in a prestigious game like this, we all want to win. So it's all quite stressful at this point, and we're wondering who's going to take them.
Before
As I
you
said,
get into the penalties, I just want to come into this comment lest it comes off my screen, Paul. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Adrian Marchbank says it was only a friendly at the point, and to the it was only a friendly at that point. Is only a trophy after we won. So so Liverpool it's a friendly, and then we win, it's a trophy. So fair enough. So we get some penalties.
Sorry, you say that Liverpool list that in their thing as
I know.
They've won. Do you know how many times they've won it? Here's a thing for you. Do you know how many times?
Lots.
16.
I think.
yeah,
16,
a lot.
but they're not even top. Arsenal won it 7. No, Man United I think have won it the most, 23 times. I think Arsenal won it 17. Liverpool 16. It's ridiculous. And then Ray Parlour on Talk Crap in the week went, "Yeah, I never really counted that as a trophy." Get stuffed.
And we are the first team to win it on our debut since who? Anyone know this? Derby County in 1975, apparently. There you go.
No, I mean
that was the community shield, though, Ian, wasn't it, or the charity shield, or whatever it's called?
The same trophy, mate. The same trophy.
Yeah, I know. But
so we get to penalties. You've explained the coin toss. Yeah. That's helpful. Yeah, good.
Just to put that into perspective, I think a lot of those Liverpool wins were shared ones. They count those as well. But no, a Liverpool fan I speak to at work, he didn't mind losing because apparently every time they lose it, they go on and win the European Cup that year. So fair. We'll see what happens there.
Well,
but
they won't win nothing this year.
No, but yeah. So penalties come out, and as I said earlier, I'm not convinced with many of our players when it comes to penalties, to be honest. And I shall be commenting on some of them shortly. But yeah, so Mo Salah steps up for the first one. Obviously, a very reliable penalty taker. He missed one for them. He skied one a week before in a friendly at Anfield, so he stood up. And I was saying to people before the game, I'm more confident as a team having Dean Henderson in goal than Alisson, because Dean Henderson, I think, has saved 10 out of 25 penalties. He's got a very good record, and it just puts that extra bit of doubt in a player's mind. They have to be that little bit more accurate, take a little bit more risk, and it just helps us. So Salah steps up, and lo and behold, row 55. So a brilliant start. That was great. And then Mateta scored. Now, this is another always interesting one. It's always tough for a player taking a second penalty in a match because it's always a bit of a lot more gamesmanship because he
double bluff
the same way exactly. But he went the same way. Good solid penalty to bottom corner. So 1-0 up and everything's looking well. This is first blood. This could be happening. And then our ex-Brighton friend Alexis McAllister steps up and he hits a very good penalty for the bottom corner. But Dean's obviously read his bottle. He knows where he's going. Makes an excellent save, which gets the old tipping of the hat, which was great. But that was a truly excellent save. That was, and we're suddenly they've missed the first two, and we're all dreaming like this is it. This is great. If we can really put them under the cosh here now. And then yes, our friend Ed Barretti Eze steps up. Now, I've still not forgiven him for various personal fantasy football, all sorts of reasons about his penalty at Newcastle last year, which I thought was an absolute disgrace. I don't understand when footballers take free kicks, when they take corners, whatever, they just run up and they kick the ball. They don't do any of this stopping, starting, jigging, dibbling, whatever. And you're only going to put yourself off, and then you end up with a tame shot. Now, I don't want to see Ebbs taking another penalty, to be honest, because I don't trust him when he takes them. I think you have to score that penalty to go 2-0 and put the hammer down on them. You just go up and you kick it as hard as you can. But so that's my opinion on that penalty. Looking back on it, though, he could have been off his line. He could have had to take a retake.
He was off his line.
It's one of these.
Off his line.
It's so close. But yeah, again, if it had been Dean, he probably would have had to retake it. But yeah, that was another thing that could have not gone our way. But yeah, so could have been 2-0 up. We're still 1-0 up. So if we go, Gakpo comes up, scores, so 1-1. And then Sarr steps up. Now, I've not seen Sarr take a penalty for us, I don't think. I'm not sure if he has, but I know he took a few for Watford when he was there.
Decent,
again,
decent strike.
It was a good penalty, but he sort of walked up to it, which I didn't like. But if you're going to put your foot through it at the end of it, ultimately that's all I care about. And he did. It was a good, calm penalty. And we're keeping our advantage, which is great. And then Harvey Elliott steps up. And fortunately for us, he hits a very poor penalty. I mean, Dean goes the right way. He's going to save it every day of the week. And so, yeah, I mean, we're in dreamland. They've scored 1 out of 4. And really, we've got a kick to win the Charity Shield. It's brilliant. But again, the fact that we're sending out a new player who's been with us for a month whether that says something about the existing players, their confidence, or who's.
He was fresh though.
He's fresh, but
It was like Devene. He was fresh, wasn't he? You know.
Yeah, but we've had that before. Only England bought 3 fresh players on in Euro 21 and hardly touched the ball.
Yeah, this is Palace.
Yeah, but you want to have a bit. You want to have a bit of confidence on the ball. If he's hardly touched the ball much, but yeah.
Okay, so he is the bar, but it's a bad penalty. I thought he was a bit unlucky actually.
Can I just say something? Tony P. Quinn has turned around and said, "Can we sell Borna Sosa now? He's terrible. I wouldn't play him for a Sunday league side."
I disagree, mate.
I thought he looked good. I thought he looked all right when he come on.
Yeah, and he did all right, Crawley. I know it was only Crawley, but he did all right there. And I thought he did all right yesterday in his cameo. And I thought he was unlucky with a penalty. He hit it high, and in the corner, he just happened to hit the bar. So, you know, I think give him another 8 out of 10 penalties, he scores them. So
before you spoil it and say we won, Paul, it's just gone. It was on the screen. Paul Bristow just put, there we go. That was our first penalty shootout win since Sunderland. You were all probably there, weren't you?
I was there, yeah. I was there for that.
Yeah. And we've lost all 6 before Sunday.
Oh, I'd like to know when they were. Paul, tell us in the chat when they were. Anyway, we're just like in the stadium, Paul. I lost count. I'm losing count now.
I had to keep telling you what was going on.
Yeah, I didn't know.
But it was at one point. It was really frustrating because, like I say, I was telling everyone if we score this, we've won. And yeah, okay, he's hit the bar, but if a bad penalty is a missed penalty. I mean, you can have arguments about a good penalty or whatever.
Yeah.
If you miss the target, which you do, it's not a good penalty, especially when you need to win that. So we've blown one chance to win it, and you know what happens. That you start to think, oh, this is it, and then obviously Sir Bobsly goes up and smacks it in. So we've got a second chance now. So then you see Justin Devaney walking up, and again, as I say, to me, it's great nerves from the lad and all this, but to me, it does send question marks about some of our other players. But
great theatre.
But it was. And you say the pressure on the boy and whatever. But he took the best penalty of the lot. I mean, he just slammed it into the top corner. Obviously, we win the Charity Shield.
Can I just say something as well? That when Ollie was interviewed after, Devaney said that he wanted to take that penalty. He asked to take that 5th penalty,
which is great.
That's his bit, and that's what he said. Again, if you've seen the interview of his speech in the dressing room, he said, "You've got big cojones." That's what he said to him. Actually, used those words. That's amazing. 21 years old, and again, someone said, "Oh, it didn't really matter to Liverpool and about not winning out there," but they said there was 40,000 Scousers there.
Well,
so it does mean he didn't want to win that game.
I said I turned to Richard Furphy, my mate, in the ground when Devaney came off the bench. And I said, here he comes, Devaney to win it for us. I actually said that to him, right? Okay. Devaney, as his shot, he nearly won it. And Rich turned to me and said, blimey, you were nearly right then, at the end. And then, sure enough, he did with it with the spot kick. So I think call it.
I think some players would have been ahead of him, but I think a lot of players had cramp. Like Munoz.
Yeah.
Maybe Devaney jumped in. I would have expected Hughes to take one, but maybe Devaney.
He said he. Yeah. I did. I really like him. I said to my wife because she was watching it. Right, I said I'm not joking. I'm saying it to the fellas all last year. I really like Devaney, and my personal opinion is he reminds me of Maka because he can tackle. His left foot, right foot. I mean, the shot that you thought that he had the chance to win it during normal time was a decent strike with his right foot. The penalty was an unbelievable strike with his left foot. So we know he's 2-footed.
Yeah.
And the goal he scored against Huddersfield, the 2-0. That was a right foot chip over the goalkeeper, wasn't it? The ball through Doncaster, sorry, yeah. So yeah, I'm so happy for him that he's come good, and it sends huge signals to people, within the club at his age to say, I can do it, you can do it. He's 21.
Yeah. Rob Cranfield says, I heard Devaney's dad had his wheels nicked in Liverpool and wanted to get his revenge. Very good. And Paul Bristow's answered our question for us. All 6 penalty shootout losses were in the League Cup: Bristol Rovers, Portsmouth, Cardiff, Colchester, Bournemouth and Newcastle. I remember the Bournemouth one. It was 11-10, wasn't it? Or something ridiculous. Okay. So we won the Community Shield. Happy days. Happy days. And they're the stats for the game. Liverpool have 59%, which is what you sort of would expect. But the stat that I was surprised about was the free kicks. Look how many more times they failed us. Almost more than twice as many times they failed us compared with us fouling them. Dirty scousers, as we like to say. And all good stuff. The other thing, we haven't got a picture of this, but the other thing I just want to say about the penalty shootout, there is a great picture online of Palace players in a huddle before the shootout and Liverpool fans just wandering about drinking out their water bottles. So our togetherness before the shootout, I think, was really there, much stronger maybe than theirs, which was great. And it was great to see, wasn't it? Celebrations didn't go on quite as long as the FA Cup final, but it was a similar kind of thing with craning our neck to see up at the Royal Box to see the presentation of the trophy, and then right in front of where we were sitting, Paul, they had the display, didn't they? Which was awesome.
Right.
Yeah, good. And Ferg, did you see what happened to Joel Ward at the end? Were you aware of that in the upper two?
Yeah, that was lovely. Yeah, I've got it on film somewhere. Yeah, they all ran up to him and gave him a hug. Mateta gave him his medal and gave it back.
Very good.
Yeah,
Joe, what were they saying on the box at this stage?
So the TNT, I mean, firstly, Ali McCoist was choking on, beforehand they did the, what do you think the score would be? And everyone said that Liverpool would win. And then it comes to Steve McManaman after. Honestly, you'd have thought he'd got a worthless stuck in his throat, mate. He was choking. He was absolutely choking. They were livid. They were livid that they'd lost that game. And I think TNT, that everyone to do with them, they were livid to, and obviously they couldn't make it too obvious because Joel Ward's standing there. But I mean, that was a lovely moment when the boys came over and gave him hugs and basically Gay stuck it on his chest, the shield, and they got some photos done. That was really lovely.
Brilliant moment.
They wanted him to go up. Did you see him? They were trying to get him to come up the stairs, but he said, "I can't. I'm working."
No, I know.
He's got a job now, hasn't he?
Well, I hope so. Well, it's interesting because I thought another club would have come in for him. A lot of people were saying maybe he'll go out to Portsmouth. He can certainly do a job in the Championship, I'm sure. But it just seems at the moment he's happy to be unattached and without a club, and maybe just carving a career for himself in the media. And I think from a longevity point of view, clearly that's probably going to be a better move. And he obviously has been well paid when he's been at Crystal Palace, so he hasn't got to work again probably if he doesn't want to. But he would clearly.
He's been training with Palace, He's been training with us pre-season.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
So maybe bring him back.
We wish him well anyway. He's been a great servant, Paul.
Yeah, as Fergus says, if we don't get our finger out of our backsides and sign some players, we may well need to
get him back. Yeah.
Well, this is the thing that leads me on. And again, I said it in that sort of half jokey Facebook thing today. If you do actually want to move on to the lack of signings and stuff, that I think today's or the decision yesterday, I think might be a decisive. A decision for one or two or three players to not be with us next year. I mean, but listen, who wants to play in front of 12,000 people in Norway or Denmark on a Thursday night, right? Or do you want to be playing against Roma or one of the Sevilla, in one of the big stadiums in front of 60, 70, 80,000 in the Europa League? With the promise of definite Premier League.
We get all that. Maybe it will be a catalyst for some players leaving. I think the news today, I think let's just talk about the facts. We haven't got an awful lot of time left on this pod tonight. The facts are that Mark Gay's been linked with Liverpool today. It's all unfounded. No clubs, nothing official has come out. And also that both Arsenal and Tottenham are interested in Eberechi Eze. I can sort of resign myself to losing Mark Gay here if the money is right, given he's only got a year left in his contract. That's how we do business. And it's not the first time he's been linked with the club. To lose Eze as well will be a blow. I don't think we'll lose anybody else. But what concerns me, because Oliver Glasner has already said we're a couple short. We're going to play in Europe. We know we're playing in Europe, whether it's the Conference or Europa. We're playing in Europe. We've got added games. We've got 4 competitions. We need extra players. So if we lose a couple, or we need 4 more players. Where are they coming from? Who are they? Has the club got people lined up? That's the question I want to ask. And I guess there aren't many answers at the moment, Paul.
Paul's got some.
Yeah, I mean, Steve Parish has said this week. He said if Mark Gay doesn't sign a contract, he has to be sold. So I think, and I always think they were never going to sell him to Liverpool before the Community Shield because they wouldn't want him playing against us. So this to me was always going to happen. Obviously now Tottenham have lost James Maddison. They're a bit more urgent for a striker. So you've got 2 Champions League clubs chasing him now. So I wouldn't surprise me if that happens. I think they're the only 2 probably, but I think they would have still been the case even if we'd been in the Europa League. I don't think the competition makes much difference to that. But yeah, we need to start signing some players quick.
Okay. So the Gay thing, sorry, just quickly, the Gay thing, by keeping Mark Gay for 3 extra games and not getting rid of him, it's cost us a minimum. It'll be a minimum of, because it's saying they're only going to get 40 million for him now because the contract's going down and down and down. We turned down 65 million apparently from Newcastle. Yeah, we turned down. We wanted 70.
That was last summer.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is we could have sold him then. And got it. That was worth another 25 million. I know.
Joel, just hear me out here. The other thing we don't know in all of this is whether the player wants to go. All right.
I don't think he wanted to.
Mark Gay turned around and said to Crystal Palace,
No.
Sorry, I don't want to go to Newcastle. I don't want to play for Newcastle. And therefore, I don't. So we weren't desperate to sell him because he still had 2 years left on his contract. Then he's now got 1 year left on his contract. So Paul has said, and he's right, is that if we're not going to let Mark Gay go on a free, we will probably sell him in this window, and the money has gone down, but that's the price you pay.
Darren Ambrose,
he's worth nothing.
Darren Ambrose on Talksport this week. I've started listening to it again for some reason. It does my head in, but he's turned around and said that the interest is valid, and from what he understands is that Eze is interested in a move away, and Mark Gay's got to go as well. Because Mark Gay, we can't let him leave for a free. Otherwise, that would be the equivalent of paying him £1.5 million a game. We lose 40 million at least, plus his wages. It's a nightmare.
Can I just say, if we'd sold him,
Fergus, then we're going to move on.
Yeah, if we'd sold him at the beginning of last season, would we have won the FA Cup and the Community Shield?
Well, we don't know the answer to that question.
Yeah,
Probably not. Guys,
I know, but we have. So that's worth 30 million.
I'm going to move this on. We've got a Premier League game on Sunday. We play Chelsea at the Bridge, 2:00 kickoff. We want to know your predictions for this game. Who's going to win this game? What's the score going to be? I know what you're going to say, Fergus. Let's hear it in the chat. How are we going to get on at the Bridge on Sunday against the Club World Champions, against the FA Cup winners and Community Shield winners? I mean, this is going to be a great game of football. Gel, what's the score going to be?
2-2.
2-2. Ferg?
1-2 Palace.
Yeah, very, very good. And Paul?
Well, I was quite confident, but I thought they'd be a lot more tighter after becoming world champions. But they've looked they've looked not too bad in their recent friendlies. So I'm going to go 1-1. Okay,
and I'll go 1-1 as well. It was 1-1 last season at the Bridge, but it would be great to win the game if we can. A lot of people saying 1-1. A lot of people saying 2-1, like you, Fergus. And Gary Klotz says 3-1. So yeah, so if you going, let us know if you're going. If you see us in your way in, come and say hello. Introduce yourselves to us. If we don't know you, we'd love to hear from you. It's going to be a good game. I love to start the Premier League season. I love that first game. It's full of anticipation. We've got a couple of competitions for you as well, just for fun this season again. We have FPL is back, of course. Join the Red and Blue Review League if you haven't done so already. If you were in it last year and you've registered your team, you'll join automatically, so you don't have to do anything. But the code to join is Q lowercase 5 Bravo Romeo Victor 1. There it is on the screen for you. And we also are doing Super 6 again. I must try and remember not to forget to do my predictions like I did 4 or 5 times last season. And the code for that one is Y for Yankee 72 Bravo Echo 9 in the Super 6. So good luck with those competitions, guys. And enjoy the first game of the Premier League season coming up at the weekend. We're going to be back after that show on Monday next week. Joe, do you want to say one final thing? Go on then.
I thought, are we not going to do where we're going to finish and what we're going to win?
Oh, yeah, we were going to do that. We've run out of time, really. So we will
Go
do that.
for it. No, let's do it. Let's do it.
Do it.
Nigel, I tell you what, I've been admonished by a producer guy. He's brought himself on the pod. He doesn't have to do that, but clearly he thinks I can't manage this show. He's right, because I'd forgotten all about it. So we also want to know where you think Crystal Palace is going to finish in the Premier League. Put it in the comments.
And I will read them out.
So we'll collect all that information. Nigel will collect all that information and put it in a nice, safe place so we can revisit it at the end of the season. And I've said 9th. I agree with you, Paul McNamara. So thank you, Nigel, for coming on and telling us. And isn't he a good looking chap, our producer guy? Thank you for all you do, Nigel, behind the scenes.
You're welcome.
So is there anything else you want to say, Joe?
Yeah, I think 7th FA Cup again, and I don't think we'll win up in Norway or Denmark. So we won't have Europe this year. We'll have one game.
My life.
2 games.
You are not coming on again. Paul, where are we going to finish in the Premier League?
10th.
Ferg?
I was going to go 10th and League Cup final.
Oh, League Cup
and
final.
conference win. Joe.
Amazing. Guys, that is all we've got time for. We're well over time. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone in the chat. Sorry we haven't mentioned your comments. We are going to return Monday, the 18th of August. Nick Philpott will be back in the chair, by the way, I think. No, he won't. Am I back? I don't know. Am I back doing it? Yeah, I'm doing it, I think.
He's
Monday
back for the Forest game, and
that's right. He's doing back for the.
He's got an early flight back from Australia, so he can do the Forest game.
I'm doing this one. So I'll see you on Monday, everybody. And on that, there's nothing like a good finish to a show, and that is nothing like a good finish to a show.
Paul.
And for Bromley fans, they're 1-0 up.
Yes. Good to see.
Yeah.
Well, Brom. Come on, the Brom. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Good night, everyone. Welcome to the new season.
Up the Palace.
Come on, my tip.